Don,
Here.
Sherry,
Here.
Wanda, Dan,
Here.
Chris, Sherry, Hoffman.
Here.
Kathy. Dennis.
Here.
Lauren.
Here.
Matt,
Here.
Joe.
Here. Quorum present. Does anybody have a financial or non-financial conflict of interest?
No.
No.
I have none.
I have none. Have none.
With that, I will accept approval of the agenda.
So moved.
Motion and a second, further discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Okay, we're gonna go on to discuss the ordinance red line changes. So this will be a work study. There will be no action taken. Full discussion and then hearings and public comment will be taken at the planning and zoning meeting where this would get recommended to be passed on, and then again at the commission meeting. So the purpose of this was we've kind of kept a running list of what we call low-hanging fruit that should be fairly non-controversial, but things that should be cleaned up in the ordinance. And we wanted to give a run through with the joint meeting here and just see if everybody's on the same page or not. And I think anything that maybe does come up where there's strong opinions one way or another, maybe gets passed on to the next round of changes, unless we feel that it really needs to be addressed immediately. So with that, oh, Chris Barkle has entered the meeting. Did you get that?
Yep.
Okay. And I think, Wanda, are you on by phone? She's not. Okay, Wanda's not. Okay, so with that, we will kind of zip through that screen. Bill, do you want to run that or bring us through it? And do you want to address voting before we get started?
Oh, all of that. We'll wait till we get
Okay.
down to that section.
Okay.
So on this one, Lauren Nelson needs to be included here as a change. Otherwise, I think that's pretty good. Is this the one with just the changes? Or is this the whole one? Okay. Oh, gotcha.
What's that?
I think that was like a spelling error. Something word didn't like Marindal. There we go.
And is the term main building used somewhere in the ordinance that we needed in there?
It was under with the principal use.
Okay. Any issues? Okay.
All right. Is she? Is that you, Wanda?
I'm on.
Okay, welcome.
Thank you. Late, but here.
That's okay. We're just got one definition done. So you won't be able to see, we just have the ordinance red line version pulled up on the screen and we're just scrolling through it and we'll just address them as we come across them or give a brief discussion. So I'll try to
That's fine.
inform you of what we're talking about.
Yep, right there.
Okay, so in ag section, non-conforming lots of record allowed to be developed must meet the following setbacks. So the intention here was existing lots of record that existed prior to zoning that are smaller than 20 acres. We have a lot of them that are, let's say, 1 acre. They're almost unusable due to the large setbacks in the zoning or in the Article 5. And so rather than having people come forward with variance requests, it was brought that we just make a charge or have an additional setback to follow if the lot existed prior to zoning and is non-conforming.
You mean additional or different?
Well,
Different.
different.
You know, so
Okay.
I think with this, I want an example of how, because the title says per unit minimum density square foot. And then you've got for single family dwelling, 20,000 feet. What does that mean? Okay, so you're saying a lot size. So if I have a lot size that's 30,000 square feet, it doesn't apply.
It still does, if it's under 20 acres, it's considered non-conforming,
Okay,
so anything under 20 acres. 30 acres is probably not gonna, or 10 acres is probably not gonna matter, but we get the other was 1 acres. So instead of just doing 1 acre, we just said anything non-conforming.
okay. So, but again, it is, so if I have a 10,000 square foot lot, so it's got to be between 20,000 square feet and 20 acres. So I just don't want to confuse, I want it to be extremely clear what that means. So should it stay instead 20,000 square feet to 20 acres? You see where I'm going with this? I don't want any question when we get done. And this is something that in the planning commission, you guys can kick it around, but I have a concern with the interpretation of this is where I have a concern.
It matches up with the changes we did in the residential, where instead of saying 1 acre, we went to 40,000 square feet.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I don't have a problem with that. I just want to make it very clear that someone says, well, I have one that's 19,000. You're out of luck. So we're setting essentially at a half acre. So if you're less than a half acre, your lot is what you got.
My preference would be to get rid of that column as well as the min lot width column. Because these lots are already existing. They're not being created. And to me, even the min lot width, if you can't meet the front yard or the side yard or the rear yard, then you either can't build there or you need to come with variance. So I would get rid of both of those would be my preference.
Which two columns?
The min's density and the minimum lot width.
So basically, anything under 20 acres, if you can meet.
If
those
you're
setbacks.
non-conforming and can meet those setbacks, you can build,
Okay.
whether it's a machine shed or a home or a, whatever.
Does that make sense?
So then what?
It does, to me.
If you say, have a lot in my head where it's at, that if it doesn't meet, if you can't maintain a 50-foot minimum front yard, minimum side yard 10 feet, and rear yard, at that point is where someone comes in and wants to do something better that requires variance or whatever to do it. And there's-
Yep.
Because of some of those lots of record that are already there, like forming about State Lake on that, where that whole house got built,
Mm-hmm.
because of topography or whatever, they can't go anyplace else other than where the flat spot is.
Right.
So they still would have the opportunity to at least apply
For a variance.
for a variance
Yes.
on this, but this would just, all this does really is streamline the lots that meet those requirements.
Correct.
without a variance.
Yep, because
That's
right
the
now
intent.
ag is 75 foot for all of
Right.
those. And so we're saying, or 50, we changed it, 50. Yep.
even the rear on this one, I,
So why don't we just say 20,000, minimum of 20,000 square foot and get rid of all the minimum lot widths? And then just keep it simple. And I don't even think you'd need single family dwelling or other uses, just say all uses. Because it's the same anyway.
right,
Well,
yeah, I
and-
agree.
And that would streamline it for all uses on a pre-zoning lot, minimum of 20,000 square foot
Okay,
lot size.
but I think what,
And
and maybe I'm misinterpreting what you just requested, was to get rid of the 1,000 requirement at all.
Right,
Anything less than 20 acres that's already an existing platted lot would qualify for different setbacks.
yep, I would keep the
the-
min front yard, min side yard and rear yard, and I'd actually change the rear yard to 10 foot as well.
from what I've been told, and somebody correct me if I'm wrong, the reason all lots in the county need to be 20,000 square foot or larger is due to a septic situation.
Well, how are we going to fix that with the people who already have lots before zoning?
That's in state law. Well, I'm just saying, for the septic situation,
But what if
It
I'm
would-
putting a grain bin up?
or dog kennel. So
So
how
like-
low do you want to go? I guess if you want to approve everything, that's fine, but
Well, but these are already existing lots. We're not
Yeah, we're not
approving
creating
anything.
the lot.
We're not
Okay.
approving a different lot size. We're saying that's the lot you have. We would like you to be able to use it somehow. Does that make sense?
So like with what Dan is talking about, that's state regulated anyways, Dan, so they have to follow that state law. That really would matter to us, I wouldn't think, as far as the 20,000 square foot requirement for septic system. They have to follow that anyways.
So any other concerns with this? Because I think the goal today is to, all of us discuss it. And then we're going to say, you guys figure out the language and send it back to us, but you know the intent.
I don't think that, I would be in favor of eliminating the rear yard. We had an instance several years ago where someone wanted to build a property line,
mhm,
and
remember that.
there was quite a discussion about why they couldn't the leak in the roof from inside the building. We had a contractor sitting here, he said, I'd like to see that.
Yeah.
Anyway, you had to have a buffer between you and your property line, so.
Right.
He said, well, he had permission from all his neighbors to be able to do that, but when the neighbors change, you might not have permission from them.
Mhm.
So I think that, I don't have a problem with maybe reducing it.
Yeah, I wouldn't get rid of it. I would,
It should be a number that's substantially.
Right.
Right. Yep, I would agree with that. I threw out 10 just because that's what the sides are proposed, and so 10 around, but anyway,
I think 10 would work for most things.
okay. Okay, conditional uses, accessory structures.
Could somebody? I guess I don't know who wanted this changed. I'm just curious why. Because accessory structures are a permitted use. And we're dealing with low density rural here, R1, correct? Go up a little bit. Isn't it 607?
Yep.
So I believe the intent of that is currently accessory structures under 4,000 square foot are permitted use. And an accessory agricultural accessory structure is different than an accessory structure. And I believe when we talked about that, when we changed it before, they wanted to keep that as a conditional use. Reason being is that, hobby farms are conditional use. So I guess I'm wondering if people were thinking it as an accessory structure, that's already permitted. If I want to build a garage or a shed, that's already a permitted use up to 4,000 square foot. Anything above that is a conditional use.
I think you're right. That would make it all accessory structures conditional uses, and that's probably not the intent.
Yeah.
I think it was to just,
What was the intent?
So I would honestly would like to keep it as accessory agricultural structures are a conditional use because that's residentially zoned. And that's how it has been in the ordinance.
And it goes with hobby farms.
Yes,
and I'm fine with
Okay.
that. I think it was just,
I think when we were
I think
talking
the thought was an
accessory,
accessory structure is an accessory structure, whether it's ag or not, but
And-
in this case, it's not.
and in what we did in Article 5, there were no accessory structures. All you could build was accessory agricultural structures. That's why we changed it to allow, because
Right.
technically you couldn't build a garage.
Right.
Right.
And I think this just is a bleed over from that.
Yeah,
So
I think
it's a
you're right.
Simple fix, just leave it.
Okay.
Okay.
Swimming pools, whoop, yep. Swimming pools, okay.
Thank goodness.
I don't think that's a. So 707.
So these are just get rid of swimming pools as conditional uses in the residentials.
We're not adding them permitted use, we're just not mentioning them at all? Is
Correct.
that, okay, great.
So 807 is the same thing.
Are they actually defined as to what? Swimming pool as far as size?
Yeah, there's a depth in there.
Swimming pool isn't.
There was a depth in there. I
There-
remember the
yeah.
meeting. It was like 36 inches or something like that. There was actually a person who came
A
in. here
water
with
filled enclosure permanently constructed or portable having a depth of more than 24 inches below the level of the surrounding land and or above ground pool having a depth of more than 36 inches designed, used and maintained for swimming and bathing. That's page 13.
So if we are getting rid of all of the CUPs for swimming pools, do we need the definition?
No,
So
No,
discuss deleting that as well. So where's our next? 10,
That's in commercial. I'd agree with that.
yeah, because didn't we just do CUP for those?
We've done a
Okay.
couple numbers.
So that was section 813.
10, 11, section 10.
Oh, I see, 1003, okay, because I'm skipping pages here.
The only one I would have with 1013 is going down to an acre. I don't know if the 150 foot is gonna be, is that gonna work? The reason I say that right now, it's at 2 acres. Commercial districts are usually along the highways, 46, 81, 50, 52. Do we want to go a little less than that? Our reasoning, we've had a lot of variances for commercial districts.
I would be fine with one, because
Yeah.
the majority of them, we either need to go lower or we need to do the same thing we did in ag, because there's a bunch of them out on 50 that are 1 acre or less.
Exactly. And if they're 149 feet, they still got to go through the variance according to that. So I'm fine maybe lowering the section 1013, number 2, 150 feet to another number. And I think that'd streamline the process and
Okay,
make
so-
development a lot easier.
Where are we looking there?
He's saying 1013 to
Oh,
Yeah.
the lot
change the
width,
lot width
okay.
as
So we're
well.
going from
I
2
see.
acres to 40,000 square feet. So I believe that 150 is still gonna not work for some of those. And that 150 was designed for a 2 acre lot minimum.
We're essentially going to 1 lot.
Yeah, I would think less, and then that way, it's a commercial lot. They're almost always along busy
What's the min
highways.
lot size in ag for width
In what?
in ag?
Minimum lot
Well, that's
size.
20 acres. What about in R2?
I'd say the closest comparable thing would probably be Lakeside Commercial, and that's half of this, but
That's the one with the half acre lots.
it's, yeah,
Is that
R3.
1 or 3?
R3, but this would be 1 acre
Should be
lot.
1 acre lots.
Should be R2.
But- Yeah. And I know we've had to do variances for those in the past as well.
I would say that's open for discussion. Just to keep on track, we have 10 minutes before the next meeting, so.
What do you say, Gary, like 75 feet? I'd be fine with 75.
So whatever's I'm okay with lowering that.
Yeah, we'll talk, we can decide this in the
I think the big change here is gonna be, well, the lot size and then the front, rear and sides. And there again, the intent is to reduce the number of variances that we ultimately grant anyway.
Agree.
67, we're just looking at it.
And that's for
Okay.
lakeside commercial. Okay. I don't think that's,
68.
Reason being here is 1 acre and 20,000 square feet aren't the same thing. So.
no, an acre is 44.
So that's actually going to half.
Should I change that lot width to 75?
We would probably need to.
So that's taking lakeside commercial to a half acre essentially.
One of your points on the sheet that was sent out that you all, came up with a list. One of the questions or the thoughts in there was, we were talking about lot sizes, like ag and stuff like that, or whatever, about how the right of way takes away from
Mm-hmm.
the square footage. Do we need to look at that in this 20,000 half acre thing? Do we have to look at some language or something in there that says something to the effect that 20,000 less the right of ways or whatever, because they might only end up with 19,000 or 1850 or something.
Is that
like
gonna be later in the plating?
I'm thinking it's I think we have it in here somewhere. If not, we should. But
In the
if I
plating
remember
area.
right, like the 20,000, when you get into residential development, the 20,000 probably holds, I think. It would be like the 20 acres should be.
I was looking, Joe, at the, like, when we're changing the rural transition now, especially with the commercial
Right.
things like that, where they're required to have so much in the acres, if they're doing an area, especially along like Highway 52, where the state won't provide a driveway, so they have to go to an access road. Now all of a sudden, things got way small.
Right. Yeah. If it's not, it
I'm
comes up, we should address that. Yeah. Okay.
I'd say that one would probably be the same thing as we did with R1.
Well, I think this one makes sense because it's in RT. And I think we really do want to mimic the ag here, right?
Okay. Yeah.
I think was the intent. So that one, that
Okay,
should
I can
stay.
agree with that.
Requirement or other. This is essentially taking what's in the ag definition into this section, if I remember right, into
Oh, I did have
RT.
a comment on that. No, that is not exactly, and I
Okay.
think that should be done. So there's a section almost exactly like this in Article 5. And it is 507, number 40. And I think we should take 507, number 40 and put it in here. Instead of just putting in the plan requirement and such. I think they should be the same.
Yeah, it should, I think the intention is to be the same.
Yep, that was one of the ones.
Right.
Addresses we had this year.
Great.
Is that,
Not a plan,
yeah.
have the homeowner do it or the closest experience.
That's only one instance where that's ever happened, though, and I caution to make a zoning change on, from what I understand, that PUD was done 20 years ago. There haven't been a lot of them since, and I get it's tough because the plan doesn't exist, but do we want to create a ordinance change because of one situation? It's not reoccurring. I don't know if we'll
I've
deal with
seen
that
it
again.
twice, actually.
For two different ones,
Yeah,
but they were both same PUD
no,
from,
different PUD.
No, it was different.
There's been a couple different ones, and that was the concern. that
okay.
Some of those first ones that don't seem to have a lot of paperwork attached to them.
Okay.
Next one's 77. People wanting to camp out at the. Just struck that.
Okay.
One, it's 83, 17, 15, the voting step. Discuss that.
Yep.
So what the alternates, I think planning and zoning as well as commission, we need to identify alternate voting in the case of conflicts. It doesn't happen often, but it has happened where you feasibly could have 3 county commissioners have to abstain on a project, and then you can't approve it.
Okay, so I did go out to a state law on this. The state law 11-250 allows the appointment of alternates. And they have a term. They're not just, you show up to a meeting and you say, Bob in the audience is our alternate today. They have a term and it's for the Board of Adjustment. But nowhere in there could I find a statute that said you could name them for the Planning Commission. So I don't know if that means we can or can't. If we're not given the authority to do it, it's usually best not to do it. So I think some of the language in here was this for planning?
This one was planning that we just had.
Yep, so I would caution to go down that avenue if we can't legally do it. Now, we can do it for Board of Adjustment.
But you are, what you have the power to appoint, we're just an advisor. So I would feel the same way. I wouldn't feel comfortable putting an alternate. I mean, if they have to abstain, it makes a difference too in the planning commission because we can abstain, but we're not required to have a 2/3 vote or required by
Right.
whatever, or majority, we have that majority.
Yep.
Or it comes out.
We-
But if you, with the plan, with the board of justice.
I don't know if Dan is talking or leaning back in his chair.
That's not me, Wanda.
That's
Yeah.
Dennis. So the planning and zoning are sitting,
In the
throughout room.
audience, we don't have enough microphones.
Oh, okay.
There's too
Okay.
too much
Somebody could sit in my chair.
information, so.
So with the planning commission, isn't there a minimum required for a zoning change, like, or no?
No, it's just a
That's also
majority. It's,
suggested.
it's a recommendation.
Oh,
As long
So
as you
it's-
have a quorum present, you can have a meeting.
Oh.
Yep.
So before we do too much change here, I think we need to make sure what we can legally do.
Okay, we've got 1 minute, so let's,
Uh-huh.
if we boil into the next meeting, we will, but let's try to. Which one's it?
I think we're gonna look into that legally.
Okay, expiration of permits, we need to identify how long a CUP lasts before expiration. And then the thought was to offer with building permits, offer a renewal after the 180 days.
You're gonna strike all the conditional use variance that you should scratch it out of the bold print at the top too.
Okay,
Yep, good point.
I'd just have an expiration of building permits.
okay. So this is gonna mimic state law now anyway, so I don't think we need to harp on it, but that's what we're doing there.
I don't have an issue with that. I had one, before we done, one thing going down further. It talks about 21 days for appeal. It says in a lot of places, it says 21 days, and then other places it says 21 working days. So I think we need consistency, either 21 days or 21 working days, and stick with it.
You know, the other thing about that 21 came from state law, and in the law, it says not to exceed 21 days. So we can have 10. So as a planning commission, we need to be consistent. We can stay with the 10 we have, if I'm interpreting the law correctly, or we can change to 21, but it's not to exceed 21 because they didn't want counties dragging these things out for 6 months. That was the goal with 21. So we don't have to change from the 10.
Stay with the 10.
And so is it 10 days or 10 working days? 'Cause
And
that's-
that should
that'll
be
need to-
clarified.
It
in there.
does, because
10 days.
10 days.
Anything less than 7 excludes weekends, holidays,
Okay.
but 10 days is 10
I
days.
agree, Wanda.
Okay, so just be
Then-
clear.
I'm sorry?
I said I agree with you.
Oh, write that down.
This,
I got it on tape.
this appeals, this is state law, correct, if I remember right?
Yes.
So that's. Yep,
We just have one.
okay.
We went through the voting.
There was a couple other ones, I think that.
So-
I think there was a sign one in there too for ETJ. Oh, I'm pretty sure.
There was a
The
change
sign
on the
one, we could,
voting.
you guys can
Okay.
discuss. We should touch on the voting quick before we move on to the next meeting. It should be in, what section, 17?
No, that was, 1715. I think is what it was. Yep, so again, this comes from that change they made a couple of years ago where they said CUPs had to be a majority, and there was a huge discussion over the exact wording. And I pulled there's 3 statutes that cover it, and if you want to write them down, it's 11.2.17.3, 11.2.53, and 11.2.59. And there's discrepancy, and the legislature didn't fix it this year. So the change they had essentially made was how it stated is approval of a conditional use request requires the affirmative majority vote of the members of the approving authority. So we've got 5 Board of Adjustments. You have to have 3 votes. So if we've got a meeting with 3 people who show up, they all got to vote for it. That's essentially what that says. The challenge becomes, in that number 53, it says, determine conditional uses as authorized by the zoning ordinance. The uses shall be determined by an affirmative majority vote of the present and voting members of the Board of Adjustment. So state law has a contradiction. That last one refers to the first one. An initial conditional use determination of the Board of Adjustment shall be determined by the vote in 17.3, which was a majority of the board. So I believe, my opinion, and State's Attorney's Office certainly needs to weigh in on this, is I think we need to go with the majority of the full board.
I agree.
because
Agreed.
two of these statutes refer to that. And then I need to work with our three legislators to try and get this fixed. So there's no question going forward.
And the purpose behind it, if you look at why they did it, was they didn't want any supermajority.
Correct.
Except for variances.
They didn't, yeah, and it specifically says 2/3 for a variance.
Yeah, so they wanted the conditional uses to be the same. no
Across
matter
the
what
state.
county you were in.
Yep,
And so that's why they changed it, because, for example, some counties had a majority, some had a super. And so their point was it was to be the same for everyone.
So we,
yep. So we need to change it, but we need to make sure that we're ensuring it's of the full board. So if just three of us show up, we all have to vote for it. So
because otherwise, if three of us showed up, two people could vote and
you got a CUP
And you'd
with two
have it.
people.
Would you be able to push it on to the next month? I have no idea.
You could certainly
Would that be a
continue it,
You could do it.
Recommendation, like,
but it depends on your opinion on the CUP.
yeah.
So if you're not for it or whatever, and you show up, you get to vote.
Maybe this is something we should
That-
just wait and have the state law correct it before. There's a chance we could change it. And then when the state changes it, they change it to something else and we have to change it
No,
again.
they had
I
a,
would
they
take
had a
that risk.
specific discussion when that law went through.
Mhm.
And they debated and debated and debated, and this was the compromise, was of the full board. That's why two of them say of the full board, and they didn't go back and change the last one.
so I would agree.
It's time
Majority
to
of
get
the
it
full
done.
board. With that, I think that's all. So feel free to reach out to any one of us if you have questions as you're going across them, but otherwise, I think you have the intent and go ahead and run with this. We do have public comment on this agenda. Did anybody want to make public comment? And if so, I would ask you to just wait until the beginning of the next meeting and we'll do public comment then. So with that, I would ask for a motion to adjourn.
Just before you go, I'd just like to say thank you for our planning commission, for you guys serving. It's a tough, thankless job and we really do appreciate it. So thank you guys while you're here.
I got a motion to adjourn.
And I would move to adjourn.
Second.
Motion in a second. Okay. Matt and Dan, sorry, Wanda. All those in
Yeah.
favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. We are now adjourned. Thank you, everybody, for coming. With that, time being 6:08.
Hey, Joe.
I have to hang,
We're gonna
I have to hang up
continue the
and
meeting and not log into the
and
new one
recall.
because it won't let me process the video and turn a new meeting on. So
Okay.
it'll be all just on this Zoom link for any of the media that's on it. We're just gonna stay in this Zoom meeting
Okay,
and continue.
okay. Thank you, Valley. Okay. Time being 6:08, I will call the regular county commission meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Dan,
Here.
Sherry,
Here,
Wanda. Wanda,
She might have got off and tried to get on the other one. Okay, thank you.
Don,
Here.
Joe,
Here. Quorum present. Does anybody have a financial or non-financial conflict of interest?
No.
I have none.
no,
Oh, sorry. Speeding through. Okay, with that, I'm gonna go back. We missed the Pledge of Allegiance. Don, you're supposed to remind me. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you for the reminder. I got ahead of myself. Okay, I would ask for approval of the agenda.
we need to delete number 17, is that
Delete.
right?
Correct.
No,
No,
it wasn't
not
17.
It is 13.
13.
So item 13 may be stricken from this.
We
agenda.
need to add to number 17, the pool cash report.
Was that already determined then, or what happened with that? Did they not?
It was remedied.
What is that? mean?
Mike found a,
It's ours. Okay.
Did I miss the start?
If possible, I talked to some of the town board about something, if we want to still touch on that, or
About,
Number 13.
about number 13, are they coming in tonight, or?
I don't think anybody's coming in.
Okay, I'll talk to you about it then.
Okay, yeah, sorry, Wanda. We're going through approval of the agenda. Item 13 will be stricken. And then on item 17, we've added pooled cash report. We'll do that right after auditor treasurer report as normal.
I'll move approval of the agenda.
Second.
Motion and a second to approve the amended agenda. Further discussion. All those in favor say aye.
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 Um,
Any opposed? Motion passes. Okay. Item 4, time for public comment. If anybody in the audience would care to make public comment, now is your time. Hearing and seeing none, public comment is closed.
Did I miss the conflict?
Yes, sorry, do you have a conflict?
I do. I have a conflict on the Chuka Plat and the Posh matter.
Chuka Plat. And which one?
Posh. Posch, I believe is how it's spelled.
Is that under one of the law overlooks?
No, it's. Well, obviously, I can't pull up my itinerary, but it was one that Gary had. So when it gets there, I'll just abstain.
Okay. Thank you, Wanda. Okay. With that, we will move on to item 5, welfare quarterly reports. Troy, come on up. Good, and you?
Right, the contact center. For this last quarter, I'll start out with the food pantry. We had 388 visits feeding about 1,100 people. 167 were under the age of 17. We had 14 repeat customers in that quarter. We had 56 new families or individuals come in for pantry or financial assistance. We provided 71 households with emergency services, financial assistance of various sorts. $640 for gas to get to appointments. We've seen an increase in gas requests for other things like getting to work with the gas prices. We've had people coming in every day they want gas. I mean, $5 a gallon, people just can't get to work. We're not really built for that, but we've been trying to do what we can because, it's a tough road to hoe.
Do you give vouchers or just cash?
We give gas cards.
Okay.
Yeah. Rent, house payment, $925. Utilities, we provided $1,500 worth of assistance. Medications, $563. Lodging, $960, mainly motels for homeless people. And the food pantry, $23,000 for a total of $27,000 for the quarter in what we've given out to clients that come in. Like I said, with the increase in fuel, that's really been a big one. And that's all I have for our numbers.
Putting those together.
Yeah, I just also have a question. What's the future for like funding for the contacts? Is there anything that we know about or how that's gonna work or?
To my knowledge, or at least discussion to date, we haven't had any since previous budget time.
Okay, I know that we was gonna talk about it one time.
Yeah, we'll be
I'm
having,
sorry, Troy's breaking up.
the question is future funding for the contact center. And so, as of right now, so we'll have that discussion starting what, July, June. We'll be
Okay.
doing another round of looking at funding, and so,
Okay, I was just curious.
yeah.
But the future, hope, if you guys knew or anything that I should be aware of.
Nothing that I know of.
Okay,
No,
all right.
so,
I was just curious, just
Yep.
making sure. That's all I have.
Thank you,
Okay.
Troy,
All
for
right.
Thanks, Troy.
everything you do.
Move to approve the welfare quarterly report.
Second.
Second,
motion by Lowe, second by Kettering to approve the quarterly welfare quarterly report. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passes. Okay, item 6, abatement. Come on forward, Miss Atkinson.
Hello.
Hi.
I've got an application for an abatement in the amount of $2,185.26. The applicant qualifies for an exemption under South Dakota Codified Law 10-440, which is partial exemption of dwellings owned by certain disabled veterans.
Questions from anybody? Not, I'd entertain a motion.
Move approval.
Second.
Second. Think I beat you, Don.
Motion by Clemish, second by Fox. To approve the abatement in the amount of $2,185.26. Further discussion. All those in favor say aye.
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 Thank you.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Great. Item 7. Mutual aid agreement and the burn ban resolution. Come on forward, Paul.
Good evening. Well, we'll start out with the mutual aid agreement. This is something that we've been working with a company up out of like Aberdeen area. They have over 60 members that are highly qualified in large grain bin rescue. And we're not looking at maybe your standard 30,000-40,000 bushel grain bins. We're looking at the monster ones that are being put up. So like it might take hours. Their closest truck and utility equipment van is in Huron. So they're 2.5 hours away. But we felt that it's necessary that we prepare for that event. As you read through the mutual aid agreement, there is no cost between us. It's just an MOU saying that we can call, the incident commander of an incident can call for help because local resources are getting tired. We don't have the equipment to do it. We've exhausted all of our resources. So we just felt, I ran into a gentleman at a conference that was part of this, and that's really what they can do is really amazing. So part of me said, so we thought we should try to get on board. So I brought it forth for you today. It's a 5-year MOU that allows us to, communicate. There's some training benefits that we get out of it at the local level that we can also accompany out of this. So I think it's a win-win for everybody. In the event we have a grain bin rescue, I mean, we've had a few in the years past, but we've also got some really big ones, which are cool, but you never know when the
Cool, but scary.
scary. Yep. Yeah. We got one sitting on Main Street of Lesterville. It's
It's a
it's
monster.
big,
It
but if
is.
something would happen,
Yeah.
everything's bolted closed. You can't get into it, but there's that one time that something might happen where you gotta get in there and poke the bear. This is where we might need it. So this is the first of what I wanted to talk to you about
So
tonight.
there's no cost unless we call them. and
No,
then
there's not even for
reimburse-
that.
Okay.
Yep.
Oh,
They'll
there's,
come down. There's no compensation between each other. And if there would be something, it isn't in here, but when you talk to the guys that they might charge the elevator or the facility for their time, but not to us. We're just basically the go through department to get this resource.
And I can understand that if you don't have proper training on one of those large ones, it could be dangerous for your
Even
folks
for the
too. So
responders, correct.
I'll move approval of the mutual aid agreement.
Second,
Motion by Clemens, second by Fox, to approve the mutual aid agreement. Further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes.
Okay, the second item I have up, everybody is wanting and praying for rain. And so we found out last year that every time we enacted this, it rained. So we're enacting this burn ban and we're gonna get some rain. We talked with all the fire chiefs in the county. They're all in agreement that something needs to be, we need to put it back in place because of the volatility of the fuels that are out there. We're not seeing any rain. Wednesday, they're talking now maybe a 0.1 or 0.01 of an inch of rain. You know, our numbers are going down. I know it's gonna hurt some of the people that got CRP to burn. But we've heard guys that don't even want, the fire departments don't even want to go out and burn it because of the liability that may fall behind, especially with these winds. So I'm asking you tonight to invoke, I had Deb, I think you or was it Rob that went through this? Okay, and made sure that it was to par, to enact the burn ban within Yankton County. Currently, we have been doing the resolution that we have in place that if it's very high or red flag warning, it goes into effect. But it goes one day it's this, one day it's that. The Weather Service does a great job, but they're not consistent on, I mean, it's the same weather today as it was yesterday, but the fire ratings are different. So it's hard for us to put stuff on. So we think, like I said, I have the support of all the fire chiefs in the county. They want to put this on until we get some rain to settle things down.
I move to implement the burn ban.
Second.
Motion and a second to implement the burn ban resolution. Further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Um,
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Paul. Okay, item 8, Veteran Service Office Quarterly Report.
Good evening. How are you all tonight?
Well, thank you.
Good, thank you.
All right, hopefully I can be as fast as they all were. All right, my contacts this first quarter was down 74 overall. 3 in January, 50 in March, and 50 in February, 21 in March. Not really sure what's going on. Maybe I'm just getting lucky. I don't know. Things that I have been doing is the coffee with vets every month. I have seen an increase in people coming. That's good. We had more this last month than we've had so far. It was our best one here in April, but we also had a really good speaker. It was about VA benefits and eligibility. So of course, more people wanted to come and find out what what other options were out there for them. Some things I've done in the last quarter is did the gun show. I had a really good turnout with that. I was really satisfied with that. So I'd like to do that again next year, since that wasn't a cost to anybody. That works out well. I've had a total of 4 days of training. We did a 1-day mini conference in January in Sioux Falls, and then I had a 3-day in March. And then I did Irene had their Legion Fun Night. I'm a member of the Legion there. Yeah, I know it's a long drive for me living in Tyndall, but I got to talk to a lot of vets over in that area. So, and a lot of them don't have they don't talk to service officers because they're all in Parker or Vermilion or Yankton. So they don't really stop in when they have time. So it was good for them, they said, but that's what they told me. Heads up, I'll be in training May 9th through the 13th in San Antonio, Texas. That's one of those 1-week VFW trainings that's all paid for by them. So Tomorrow I plan on going to the Veterans Council. That's in Sioux Falls. Hot topic there is the care in the community and the current status of the VA. Care in the community, we've been having issues with veterans not getting referrals to see providers here in our own community for 4 weeks. That's about the average wait time for us to get to see a provider here right now. So that's something that is being worked on. I'm sure you've seen the news and all that. And that's a big thing, but it is getting fixed. I just talked to the care in the community people today, and it's definitely getting faster than it was. And then the VA, there was some leadership changes yesterday in Sioux Falls with that. Then the last thing would be the air report. That's there is some discussion right now on proposed changes. People think they are changes that are going to be happening to the VA. It is going to affect the veterans in Yankton County directly, as there are some veterans that are going to the Wagner CBOC currently, and they are proposing to close that. But that proposal has 1 year for them to look at it. And then the VA keeps saying, well, it's not going to happen for 10 to 15 years. But the reality is the provider that's in Wagner is set to retire within 2 years. And they've had a position open there for another provider for 5 years. So if they make the decision to close it, it'll probably be gone. And problem is that goes into the issue with the care in the community and getting the referrals. So, any questions?
No, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Move approval of the report.
Second.
Motion and a second to approve the quarterly report. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Okay, item 9. Asphalt bid, concrete truck bid, truck rebate.
First, I got the asphalt bid. The only bidder was Knife River, which is formerly known as Concrete Materials. We bid Class E Type 2, Class D Type 2, and Class E Type 2 fine.
What was each of these last year, Mike? Do you remember?
Class D was 71, I believe is what it was.
Was 71?
71 a ton.
So that isn't real bad.
It's enough.
Could always be worse.
The Class E Type 2, that's more of a virgin aggregate. We're using that on East Side Drive this year, so that's why we bid that one.
I'd move approval of the bid from Knife River.
Second.
Second.
Motion and a second by Kettering to approve the Knife River asphalt bid. Further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passes.
Next is a concrete A45 structure concrete bid. Normally we don't bid this, but this year, 2 of our bridge projects, instead of doing steel deck and paving over them, we're gonna do concrete deck. So we'll be over our $25,000 material threshold for the state. So that's why I bid that. Concrete, well, Knife River was our only bidder on that also.
So I'd move to approve the Knife River bid for concrete.
Second.
Motion and a second to approve Knife River concrete bid. Further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passes.
Just kind of an FYI on that, I'm hoping this turns out really well, and I feel it's more of a long-term bridge deck. So I would plan on, in the future, I kind of plan on doing that on our asphalt roads. Gravel roads that get a new bridge, we'll still do the steel deck and go that route. Next is truck bid. This was to replace the one truck out of our fleet. We only got one bid from Boyer Trucks for a used truck. It's a 2007 Sterling with 150,000 miles on it. It's got a plow, sander, underbody, and a wing. I have not been able to look at it. We opened up bids, I believe, on the 7th, but anyways, it is in their shop getting sandblasted and repainted. They're sandblasting the wheels, the frame, the box, and repainting all of it.
It's up in Sioux Falls.
It is up in Minnesota right now.
Minnesota.
So as of right now, and also we do have another truck to look at from one of the neighboring counties. I guess I don't want to approve this bid as of right now. I'd like to be able to look at both trucks before we make a decision.
I was gonna ask, do you want us to punt this one or deny it? Probably just punt it.
Just take no
I don't
action.
know.
I guess I should have asked earlier. Do we,
Deb, what would
If
be
we-
the
if we-
best for us to do if he doesn't want this one approved?
If we deny it, you could still go back to them.
Can't you just postpone it till the next meeting? Decision.
I think you could, I mean, you want to.
Can't we just continue it?
right,
Well, if we go out for bid,
So it
and
doesn't-
only get
so it
one
doesn't
bid
have
and
to
we're
be
not
rebid.
satisfied, we can go out and buy something if we deny this.
Correct.
But if he winds up wanting that one,
doesn't necessarily throw it out.
Doesn't throw the quote out probably from,
So by rights, we could disapprove it.
approve
Not
or
accept it, I
dis-
guess.
Yeah,
Unless they sell it.
I don't think we want it done. It's pretty tough.
yeah, I mean, then you just don't accept it.
By not
Or if they
accepting
have
it.
to bid again.
We
No,
went through this last meeting, right? If we get a bid
if we're not,
and we're not impressed with the bid and we reject the bid, then we can go out
and negotiate.
and negotiate.
Which it sounds like. it's what-
Well, there's just a couple.
Then
I would like-
I'd move to reject it.
What was that, Wanda?
I think she said.
She-
I said, then I'd move to reject
There's a
it.
motion to
second
reject
that.
the bid. Motion and a second to reject the bid. Further discussion. All those in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passes.
Last, I got truck rebate program. Did you guys have time to look through that?
Yep.
Something where I guess we don't have to decide tonight, but coming up here before June, I guess the sooner the better. That way I'd have time to build a truck. Because we would have to apply for this in June. So just some rough numbers here. So a Freightliner SD 114, just like we have, the truck alone would be 122,538. And that is with a drop axle. Plow wing box, I priced a stainless steel box, hydraulics, the controls to run everything installed would be approximately 130,000. Comes up to a grand total of 252,000. If we were to get awarded the grant or the rebate, it's 35% off. That's 88,000 off the bill. We'd be into the truck for 164. If the engine would meet the emission standard, the next step above emission standards, we could get 45% off, which would give us we'd be into the truck for 138, almost 139,000. And how this program works, we would apply for it for the rebate. I think it's within 10 days, they would let us know if we were awarded, and then we could order the truck. Which would be first, mid-July is when a guy could order it.
So you would like to have an idea or approval essentially prior to, so you can spec a truck, get it ready to go. If we're awarded the grant, we would order the truck. If we're not awarded it, we would probably pass.
Right, and then also budget time's coming up. I need to know if I need to put that in the budget also. Correct.
Yep, because it's got to be received by the end of 2023.
So this is a grant. Volkswagen gets to pay for it, I think.
Yep.
From their Dieselgate scandal a few years back. But this is a grant awarded to states and is it states as well or just counties?
States and counties and
Yeah, states and
other-
counties to upgrade their truck fleet into trucks that have higher emission standards. So we would need to get rid of.
you have to get rid of a truck and you have to drill a 3-inch hole in the side of the block. And you also have to cut the frame. Adding pictures,
Let's use that dump truck that got wrecked.
that one's gone. We
Darn it.
we do have a 1993 L8000 that
Be a
She-
good candidate for
she's
this
pretty tough.
program.
Yeah, she just made the window.
Yeah.
92 is the oldest. So there's $1 million available. So as you can tell, you know, the 35% was 88,000 of that $1 million just for one truck. So across the state, our chances of getting one, maybe not high, but I think it's certainly worth
But you won't get it. if you
rolling the
don't
dice
try.
and seeing if we can get some.
Well, and reading through here, it does say the older
Older the better.
the
I'm
older the better. So
sure.
we might have a better chance than a guy thinks.
It's a good day to have old equipment, I guess.
So this would just.
Well, and you'll have
require us
no
to
chance
get-
if you don't try.
This would just require us to get an emissions compliant dump truck,
Right.
basically. And currently, we don't have any of those,
We have 2.
okay, that are emission compliant with DEF fluid and all
Right.
that stuff. Okay. There's more hassles with it, you know, unfortunately.
And we only have 4 pieces of equipment right now that are.
You could go for the electric truck and get 55% off.
How are those new trucks compared to the old one? Are they as reliable, or can you notice a difference in
So
capacity?
far, there has not been any issues. There's been DEF problems,
Mhm.
the DEF fluid, but I think a guy's gonna have that no matter what. Outside of that, the Freightliners have been really good for us with the Detroits. And for capacities and stuff, I guess that's one big up, I would say, by adding a drop axle to it, so we could actually haul more. And then the wing, that's a huge asset for in the winter time.
I think it's good.
I move
opportunity
to
try upgrade
approve
the fleet,
that.
so.
Application for the grant.
Second.
Motion by Wanda, second by Clemish to approve the grant application. Further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes.
Thanks, Mike.
Have a good night.
Thanks, Mike.
Thanks, Mike. Item 10, plats, Sorensen plat.
We have 5 plats tonight. First one, the Sorensen plat of Alexa's addition in the northwest quarter of section 13, township 96 north, range 54 west to the 5th principal meridian, Yankton County, South Dakota.
Move approval of the Alexa's Edition plat.
Second.
Second.
Motion and a second to approve the Alexa's Edition plat. Further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passes.
Second one's an administrative plat of lot one, except the north 170 feet of the west 230 feet thereof, Smith Farming Enterprises, Inc. subdivision located in the northwest quarter of section 32, township 94 north, range 55 west to the 5th principal meridian, Yankton County, South Dakota.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second to approve. Further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. All those opposed? Motion passes.
Third one's plat of lot 3 of block 4, Law Overlook subdivision in the southeast quarter of section 7 and in the northeast quarter of section 18, all in township 93 north, range 56 west to the 5th principal meridian, Yankton County, South Dakota.
Move approval of the Law Overlook Lot 3 plat.
Second.
Second.
Motion by Lowe, second by Kettering
A
to
little
approve
slow there. Wanda.
the law lot 3 plat. Further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passes.
Fourth one's plat of lot 10, block 1, Law Overlook subdivision in northeast quarter of section 18, township 93 north, range 56 west to the 5th principal meridian, Yankton County, South Dakota.
Move approval.
Second.
Second.
Motion by Clemish, second by Fox to approve lot 10, the Law Overlook. Further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passes.
Last one's plat of tract 1, Chuka addition in the southwest quarter, the southeast quarter, in government lots 10 and 11, section 34, township 96 north, range 56 west of the 5th principal meridian. Tract 2, Chuka addition in the government lots 5 and 6, section 35, township 96 north, range 56 west of the 5th principal meridian. And tract 3, Chuka addition in government lot 13, section 2, township 95 north, range 56 west to the 5th principal meridian, all in Yankton County, South Dakota.
Move approval of the Chuka plat.
Second.
Motion by Lowe, second by Kettering to approve the Chuka plat. Further discussion?
I'm gonna abstain from this one.
I'm abstaining as well.
Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes 3-0 with 2 abstaining. That does it for plats. Item 11, ambulance quarterly reports. Come on forward, Charlie.
Good evening. I'm just gonna go over some of the things that I put in the first quarter report there for you that you're in you guys' packets. First thing I'm gonna do is answer the question that I get most often down there. How is Steve doing? He's actually starting to come back to work this week. He was in the office for a few hours this morning. So his plan is to be in the office for a few hours on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and then just kind of build up from there. So he is getting back to work. Of course, going through our staffing that we have now, we're doing okay right now. Our full-time billing secretary, 6 full-time paramedics. I did put that one is on light duty, but I think as of today, she was supposed to be released to go back to full duty. I haven't found out for sure yet, but that is the plan. So should have everybody back up to full duty on that as well. We do have the one temporary full-time paramedic. He is temporary full-time until July 1st. However, he just got deployed with the South Dakota National Guard, and he'll be gone for about a month until about the first week in May. 25 part-time employees. I got them all listed there and their different levels. And then as you kind of read down there, you can see that, again, we've been doing pretty well. Scheduling has been a little bit difficult at times this year because during the daytime, we're relying a lot on those part-time people to fill those shifts. But the fact that most of them have to rely on other jobs too makes it a little bit difficult for them to take the time and fill in the positions that we need as well. One of the things that is helping is to get obviously that one paramedic back on full duty, but our newest hire, Leanna Goebbels, a full-time paramedic, we hired her in February. She came to us from Nebraska, so she had to go through the process of obtaining a South Dakota advanced care license, which can be a little bit of a process. She actually just got approved for that license about 2 weeks ago, so she is now starting to take paramedic shifts as well. So that's really beginning to help. I put the call volume down for the first 3 months of the year. You can see we did a total of 224 calls in January. That was probably, without specifically looking back, I can tell you without a doubt that that was the busiest January that we've ever had. We've never done that many calls in January before. A lot of times our call volume drops down in the wintertime just because of the time of the year, and then it starts to come back up in the summer. But we attribute, of course, the COVID calls were a big part of that. And then you can see as kind of things started to settle down a little bit with COVID there, as we got into February and March, the call volume dropped down 147 in February and 168 in March. And those were more average call volume numbers for us. The budget figures out of the $1.3 million budget, we've had the expenditures of $361,000 so far in the first quarter. That's 27% of the budget. But we have brought in $156,000 of revenue in the first quarter. And that's about 43% of the expenditures that we've had so far. And that number will go up for the month of March. They don't have all the postings in there yet, so that the March income numbers are going to go up. As of right now, and I didn't have these numbers, I didn't have them when I put the packet papers together, but in January, we brought in $75,821. February was $60,457, a little bit of a drop because of the call volume. They've only got about 20,000 posted for March so far, but that number is expected to go up as they start posting more of the numbers from our billing company, which is QMC. A couple of projects going on right now. We have the chassis on order to remount our 2014 ambulance. I did just get a hold of Aero Manufacturing the other day to kind of get an update on that. You know, we ordered the chassis back in October, and their reply to me was that GM has said they'll start production of that chassis in July of this year. So they haven't even done they haven't even started the production of it yet. Once they get that a little bit closer, they'll have a better idea of when they're going to schedule our truck to go get remounted. So we're probably looking, it'll be probably close to the end of the year before that truck even gets done. We've already paid that $59,957 down payment for that chassis to get ordered. And so again, we'll get that scheduled when the chassis comes in. Once they get it up there at Aero Manufacturing, it's in Rock Rapids. It only takes about 3 weeks to get the remounting process done. One of the things that we also looked at that we can probably look at as we get a little bit closer to that is to get a floor track put in that chassis or in that remount that wasn't part of the original bid. What that floor track does is it allows us to put a piece of equipment on the floor and mount it. That is what we call a power load system. We want to get those power load systems in the ambulances eventually. And what the power load system does is it actually lifts the cot up, the cot and the patient. It lifts them up into the ambulance and does all the work for us. Most of the ambulance services around here already have those power load systems. They are an expense that we would have to have for all 4 of our ambulances. So we have to kind of take a look at how we're going to cover those costs. But we kind of want to get that process started by putting that track in that ambulance, which would cost about $1,900 in addition to what they already bid for remounting that ambulance. And that's something that we can take a look at as we get a little bit closer to remounting that ambulance.
That helps lift the patient into the.
Yes.
Yeah. I think that's money well spent, especially if you're redoing it.
Yeah, they've done a lot of studies and it's really saved a lot on injuries in EMS, and it's better for patient safety as well. So You see it in a lot of the smaller towns around here that they have those power load systems already in their ambulances, and they're really nice. They really like them. The state of South Dakota has a grant out now that is going to place a new life pack, an AED life pack in all of the ambulances in the state of South Dakota, including the 4 ambulances that we have. We did just get some new life packs in our ambulances about 2.5 years ago, but they're still going to replace our life packs because this is a little bit newer version of it. The advantage of that is once we get the new life packs, which will probably be towards the end of this year, we'll be able to sell the old life packs and gain some income off of that, which will probably help pay for the power load systems. We just have to try to find some place that would be interested in buying those off of us, and that's something that the life pack manufacturers kind of helping me do right now. So we're looking into that as well.
Those do the blood pressure and the heart monitor, the newer ones have all that in there.
Yes, exactly. The life packs have got all the equipment on them that we can do to help take care of our patient, taking all the vitals and stuff, help us monitor the patients, and it's an expensive piece of equipment. They run about $25,000 a piece.
And that's free 100% cost paid through.
The state of South Dakota is going to pay
That's nice.
100% of the cost. In addition to that, they're also going to give each ambulance or each life pack will get an 8-year service plan. All of the maintenance will be taken
Nice.
care of on it for 8 years. And it also includes an 8-year data plan because we can actually hook up data to the life pack and we can transmit EKGs to the hospital. And they will include 8 years of data with that as well. So it's really going to be a cost savings for us. And as we go down the road the next 8 years.
Just part of the ARPA funding that the state got.
Yes, it's from the ARPA funding, correct. The other thing is that just wanted to talk about the 911 calls that we're turning over to Irene over to Turner and Clay counties. That will actually go into effect on July 1st. I've been in contact with all of the organizations over in Turner and Clay counties. It does include Lincoln County because Lincoln County dispatches for Turner County. I have had meetings with the ambulance services that are over there, including Byberg, Centerville, Vermillion. Those would be the ambulances that are going to start covering the Irene area for us instead. They're closer. The thing that kind of kicked this off was the Highway 46 project that's coming up. With that highways under construction, it's going to be a real pain for us to get to Irene. And since 98% of the calls that we go to Irene are in those counties, we just figured it was time to turn it over to them. So effective July 1st is when we won't be necessarily responding to those calls in Irene anymore, only as an absolute last resort if they don't have ambulances available to come in from the other side. I think that was about all that I had. Anybody have any questions?
How long have you've been running the show for a little while there?
Yeah, Steve actually has been out since the end of January, so it's 3 months now.
Did we ever give him $1 an hour raise like we've traditionally done?
Yeah, I did.
We did do
Yep.
that? Okay.
Yep, that went into effect as soon as
Okay.
Steve was leaving, so that did happen. So, yeah, it's been about 3 months and he's hoping to get back into the office a little bit now. He was there today and I did talk to him a little bit in the office today, so he's feeling better and hoping to get back to work. Okay,
Thank you, Troy.
thank you.
Excellent report.
I would move approval of the ambulance quarterly report.
Second,
I'll get Sherry and one motion in a second to approve the ambulance quarterly reports. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passes. Item 12, register of deeds. Good evening, Brian.
All right, first quarter 2022. January was pretty good. February was pretty slow. March was pretty good. First 2 weeks of April have been good. So February has just kind of been a drag on our numbers. Actually, though, the trouble with all those records we set last year is it's kind of hard to, anything else looks bad in comparison, but we're actually on pace for our second best year ever. So I guess that's the goal. I don't imagine we're going to top last year's numbers. Birth certificates, first quarter, about the same as last year. Death certificates up a little from last year. Marriage licenses up 50% from last year. And the marriage certificates up 31% from last year. So the decrease we've seen in activity is in mortgages and satisfactions. Those numbers are down considerably. Total fees collected, 75,046.50. That's down actually 19,000 from last year, but again, on pace for our second best year. Total real estate sales was 31.8 million this past quarter. Last year was 33.4 million, so we're down a bit there, but obviously a good quarter overall. So that's kind of the summary. Any questions?
No, thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, Brian.
Thank you.
Move
Second,
to approve the Register of Deeds report.
second,
Motion by Fox, second by Clemish to approve the registered deeds quarterly report. All those in favor say aye.
I,
Aye.
No.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Okay, we are on to item 14, Cramer Kenyon Heritage Home Update and Funding Request. Mr. Powell. Welcome.
Hey, Ted.
Ted Powell, president of the Cramer Kenyon Heritage Home. And first of all, the funding that the county has provided each year, we very much appreciate. So thank you. We do a lot of fundraisers to make things to work through. We were doing pretty good until 2 years ago when the museum home, it stopped. And we had nothing coming in. And we were able to apply for a couple of American, the American
rescue plan.
yeah, the rescue plan, which allowed us to pay our utility bills and gave us some funding for maintenance. So we got by. And we're coming back, but it's slow. We're with our rentals and baby showers, Oktoberfest. We do all kinds of things to do that. We have an 11-member board going from members who have been board members for 40 years to somebody who's just starting next week. And we're an active board. It's not an easy board to work on because everyone has to work. Just to tell you what it costs to run the Heritage Home. Our budget usually to run the home through the year is about $11,000. Half of that is now insurance. We have a hard time finding an insurance company to insure those kinds of homes. They just don't want to do it. We've talked to people in town, they can't do it. Our insurance, our house insurance is going up $1,100 next year. And so, we're making it work. Utilities, everything. I would like to, I don't want to take much of your time, but I would like to consider we're talking about next year. I would like you to consider $3,000 for the Cramer Kenyon home. You did $2,000 this year.
I'm sorry, what was it this year?
2,000.
2,000 for
Okay.
2022.
Yeah.
Okay.
Any questions? Okay, great. Thanks for all you do.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ted.
Okay, next is item 15, joint powers agreement for transportation study. We've got get pulled up here.
So this is the one out in the lake area transportation study we were approved for. Correct? Okay.
Yeah, so we're looking at doing a study on Highway 52 in the lake area, and I think specifically looking hopefully to do something with Deer Boulevard and the intersection there with
So-
Highway 52.
Yep. So we've got 20% of the cost not to exceed 30,000.
Ooh,
Yes, as you recall, this is the DOT study that we applied for that's gonna allow us to take a look at that entire area, whether or not some of the gravel roads need to be looked at to turn to pavement. Where there's traffic jams possibly such as Deer Boulevard. And just to kind of study that entire area over there.
Long-term expansion.
Long-term,
and
yeah.
all that. So we need to approve this.
Move approval.
I'll second.
Motion by Clemish, second by Los to approve the joint powers agreement for transportation study. Further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. Now item 16. Approval of April 5th, 2022 meeting minutes.
I've got it, before there's a motion, there's just a few notes on this. When Jessica in here changed the time of the meeting on the 29th, it references April 12th instead of April 29th. So that's the DOE header. And this is nitpicky, but Darren is misspelled once. I'm sorry. And Harry Redmond, his last name is AN, not ON. Again, that's nitpicky. I apologize for that. But item 22146Z, the planning commission terms are 3-year terms, not 2-year terms. It says 2. And motion 22155C needs to include litigation as part of the executive session.
With those changes, I move approval.
Second.
Motion and a second to approve amended meeting minutes. Further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passes. April 12th meeting minutes.
I would move approval of April 12th.
Second.
Motion and a second to approve April 12th meeting minutes. Further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Yes. Okay, item 17, claims.
Move approval.
Second.
Motion and a second to approve claims. Further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
I had
Aye.
one question quick on pictometry for data processing. Is that for the flyover that we do?
Yes, that's a
Yes.
3-year contract, so that would be
Well,
part of the.
I guess
payment.
the only thing is we didn't do anything with the last flyover data, did we? So why are we paying $30,000 if we're not gonna utilize it?
It updates into Beacon. If you
Yeah,
look,
but-
if you log into Beacon, you can see all of the
There's
history of
difference,
that.
there's a difference between the pictometry flyover and the change finder.
Okay.
Right, change. by
So
source
are-
different.
we're not gonna do change finder?
That's the,
Okay.
yeah, we can have that discussion when the time comes, but yeah, this is the area of the time for the Beacon current.
The city
Okay.
pays on that too.
Pays part of it. Yeah, that was negotiated a couple years ago. I'm not sure if that's the second payment or the final payment.
Okay.
Okay, so we had all those in favor, any opposed? Motion passes. Claims are approved. Auditor treasurer report and pooled cash report.
Move approval.
Second.
Motion by Lowe, second by Kettering to approve. Further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. All those opposed? Motion passes. Mental illness quarterly reports.
Move approval.
Second.
Motion and a second, further discussion. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passes. And Sheriff's quarterly report he sent, he was not able to attend. But I'd still accept a motion to approve.
Motion to approve the sheriff's quarterly report.
Second.
Second.
Motion by Lowe, second by Clemish to approve the sheriff quarterly reports. Further discussion. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passes. Okay, with that, we are to item 18, public comments. And we are ahead of schedule. Just jinxed it, sorry. If anybody in the audience care to make a public comment? Come on forward, Bob. Give you 3 minutes.
Hey, Bob, how you doing?
My name is Bob Blake, and I'd just like to mention some numbers. I saw a newspaper article, I believe it was in Thursday's Press and Dakota. It was on the water and wastewater project that the state has agreed to do funding for. Gayville is going to receive $1,364,900 for a clear water loan, 2.125% interest for 30 years. They're also receiving an ARPA grant for $2,993,100. Irene is getting a loan for $87,600 for a water system, 2.125%, 30-year loan, plus an ARPA grant of $496,400. Plus they received another grant for $303,600 on another deal to replace their water tower. Lesterville is receiving a $546,700 loan at 2.125% interest for 30 years for their water system up there, plus an ARPA grant for $763,300. Mission Hill is receiving $552,966 loan at 2.1% for 30 years for their water system, plus an ARPA grant for $267,034 for an ARPA grant. With all these numbers, and this is just some towns around here that we're getting from the federal government and the state government alone and all that stuff. I think as a county commission, we should be looking forward to educating our people in the lake area that this sewer system that's been being discussed is feasible if we can get this ARPA money for sure. I don't know about the state loans. I don't know what they had to do to put in the grants and request for this money. But I think the money's there to do it. And I wouldn't be surprised if under ARPA, we couldn't talk them into giving us some money for some roads in Riverside Acres, so you have more than one entrance. Just a thought. Thank you.
Thank you, Bob. Anybody else in the audience care to make public comment? Hearing and seeing none, public comment is closed. Bring it back for commissioner updates. Wanda, I'll start with you. Do you have any updates?
No, although Mr. Clemish and I have had some conversations with the sheriff. I'll let him expound upon that.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, we're just working with the sheriff on getting some estimates on the cost to get the upgrades to the jail we discussed. I haven't gotten anything back, but we continue to work on it.
Okay, thank you.
Mine were covered during the meeting.
I guess I had a couple other than that if.
Yep, go right ahead.
So I'm talking with some of the other commissioners on the State Commission Association. There's a new product out there made out of soybeans called Dust Lock. It's supposed to be really similar to the dust control, but at a fraction of the cost. I think this is something we really need to look into. They'll come and speak to the commission about it. It doesn't rust vehicles. It's a bonding agent, use soybeans. It's environmentally friendly. I think that's something we could look for, have them come and do a presentation for us. I don't see any downside to it, and it might fix some of the road issues that we're dealing with, especially on these high traveled gravel roads.
I asked Mike to kind of vet that
Sure.
out too.
Yeah, that'd be great. It's something, hey, let's look into it. There's no negative. Second thing I have is not in Yankton County, but Tabor is celebrating its 150th anniversary this Saturday. So if you can make it out there, they're going to be honoring Mr. Sedlacek's family. And then my great-great-grandfather, Joseph Viborny, was the first mayor ever of Tabor. So I'm going to be going up there and celebrating that again, not in Yankton County, but good for the community to support those events. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you.
I've got about an hour's worth.
I'll give you a minute's worth.
Don't be, that isn't enough. Last week I had the opportunity to attend GOED, Governor's Office of Economic Development annual meeting. And they provided some statistics on the state. And I thought I'd just share them because oftentimes we don't get enough good news in this meeting, and there's lots of good news here. Tracking America's recovery. South Dakota, 103% recovered, according to this study, which includes CNN Business and Moody's Analytics. We're third best in the United States. Fourth quarter, or fourth in the nation in gross domestic product growth, 13.5%. Housing growth permit, second in the nation, 78%. Average hourly earnings growth in the private sector, fifth at 11%. Unemployment rate, 2.6%, fifth in the nation. Skip that since my time is short. That's kind of GOED patting themselves on the back. Second highest projected per capita site selection magazine. Lots of people looking at South Dakota. Most business friendly, first in the nation by CNBC. Lowest cost of doing business, second in the nation, Moody's Analytics. Second best business tax climate from the Tax Foundation. Second in highest projects per capita site selection. And the North Sioux City and Sioux Falls were identified there. Most business friendly, CNBC for second lowest cost of doing business. Did I read that one? Anyway.
Yes.
Broadband is going well. We have 90% of farmers have internet access now. In the agricultural sector, which is important for us, 80% of the ag gross domestic product growth in 2019 to 2021, 80%. 32.1 billion economic activity of agriculture. Value added ag projects in 2021 in the state, 11. Comparing manufacturer's share of gross domestic product is 8%. Gross domestic product growth in 2019 and 2021, we were fourth in the nation. 1 in 10 covered workers employed are in manufacturing. Time up.
Well, I'll give you a little more.
I'm done.
All right.
Good news.
Lots of really good
Yeah.
news going on in the state and I think
Don't tell too many
we should be proud of that. And we're a part of it, Yankton County. Not everything's.
Thanks for sharing that, Don. I don't have much, just a note if the sanitary district study looks to be completed. I have not had time to go through it, but Gary sent that email out this morning, so I'm sure everyone will go home tonight and read it. Yeah. Okay, with that, I would entertain a motion to go into executive session for litigation pursuant to South Dakota Codified Law 1-25-2 subparagraph 3 and poor relief pursuant to South Dakota Codified Law 1-25-2 and 28-13 and 28-13-1.3.
I would make that motion, but I'm not going to go into session.
Okay, are you gonna duck out for the rest of the meeting then, Wanda?
Well, now that you put it that way, yes.
Okay,
I'll second
thank
it.
you. Have a good night. Motion.
Thanks,
a
bye.
Second. Further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. We are now in executive session.
A lot of happy faces in here. Sitting around waiting.
Okay, I'd entertain a motion to come out of executive session.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second to come out of executive session. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? We're now in regular session.
I would move to pay the following county welfare claims: 21-21, 22-3, 22-22, 22-23, 22-24, and 22-25 for a total of $9,157.83 per South Dakota Code 28-13.
Second.
Motion and a second to pay for relief in the amount of $9,157.83. Further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes.
I move to deny county welfare claims 21-92, 2147, 2133, 2185, 2132, 2194, 2231, 2232, 2233, 2166, 2167, 2234, 21107, 21-4-51, 21-4-52, 2191, 2136, and 2137 per South Dakota Code 28-13-3, 28-13-33, 28-13-34.1, 28-13-1.3, and 28-13-1.3 subpart 4 in the amount of $55,545.59.
Second.
Motion and a second to deny poor relief claims in the amount of $55,545.59. Further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. No actions taken as a result of litigation. Items for next meeting. We've got the plat and variance request from last
The
meeting.
continued one.
And send it to Rob too, because he really needs to take a
Um,
Last time we talked to them, they haven't did anything yet, so.
Right. How's next meeting? Do you look into? Okay, so if Stockwell would like to present at the next meeting, the sewer study, that would be a good meeting to present at. Okay. Okay. Entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Second.
Kettering and Los, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. We are now adjourned